the cloud. There we go. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. So welcome everybody. Welcome. Let me put me in slideshow. All right. Okay, so I'm Coach Staci and you've joined my meetup group. So welcome. Tonight's discussion is going to be on thinking big. And it's really important that our thoughts are big so that we have big goals to work towards. Sometimes when if we're working towards small goals, we're not always as motivated as we could be. Um, we get to the end and then it's like, well, what's next? Right? When we set our sights on big goals, we really will challenge ourselves and give ourselves a chance to work towards something bigger. Okay. So let me just tell you why I chose this topic for tonight. And let me see my next screen. There we go. So this talk was inspired by the book, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. And I actually have a hard copy of this book, but just recently discovered that there is a free copy, on YouTube, and you can just search for The Magic of Thinking Big and it should come right up for you. I'll also put the links in the meetup area if you want to grab them from there. But this audiobook I find, well, the the book itself is a very powerful look at what we can do to think big. And I had read the most of the book, my hard copy, a few years ago. And then as I recently found it, I started listening to it again, and I'm hearing all these really important ideas and concepts that Dr. Schwartz talks about. And it was really inspiring me and reminding me to think big. And I think it's really easy for us to set to limit ourselves because we sometimes it's like we do what's easy, what's comfortable, what's safe, and we don't always challenge ourselves. But it's when we challenge ourselves that we're more likely to see what we can really do, what can we really accomplish in this life. And thinking big, you know we need to build confidence to think big, heavy motivation to think big. It takes a lot, that when we have that big picture, that big goal in mind, we need to put action behind that, and we need to be motivated to then go and make that happen. So that's why I chose this. I think it's a really, I think there's so many powerful topics, and I would really encourage everybody to either read a copy, listen to a copy, whatever your preference is. So, so again, my name is Coach Staci Ann, and thank you for joining my meetup event tonight. And feel free to grab a paper and pen, and if you get inspired, write something down, write something you want to share. If I'm talking and you don't have a chance to share it, I find that there's a lot of power in pen to paper. So I know when I'm listening to people, I always want to take notes. I always want to write something down. I always want to process, and I feel like it's much more meaningful to me, and then I'm also more likely to retain it or take action on it when I do that. So let's talk about, so the first thing that I was thinking about is, well, what's stopping us from thinking big? And I'm a person who likes to go and um, get to the root cause of things. I don't do this whole surface reasons. Oh, well, this person's just lazy. Oh, this person just isn't, doesn't know how to do this. This person, oh, we have this going on. This is yeah, and that can be true. But for me, that's not good enough. I don't like to listen to these things, or people can say this or that on the news, or psychologists, or people can say this or that. I'm a person, I like to get to the root cause. Why is this happening? I'm sorry, guys. That was my cat is sneezing. I don't know if he's doing too good. So I might need to end a little early to go and check on him. But so um why are things this way? What's really causing it? What are the driving factors? So one of the things that I find that where people aren't taught to think big or set big goals really is what you're doing is goes back to how we're taught in school. So our American education system here is built for making students ready for the assembly lines of the Industrial Revolution. Did you know that? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but it's true. We can look it up. The way the system was set up was so that kids knew how to get up, listen to a teacher, or they say a foreman, which would be the same thing, sit down at a workstation, do work for a certain period of time, get little breaks in between, and go home and then do it all over again. That's what we're taught to do. We're taught to follow directions, and discipline when you step out of line. And we really don't live in an era that works that way anymore. We don't live in the assembly line era. We live in the we need to create and innovate. And thinking about being in an assembly line doesn't allow us to do that. We're not taught to, build those ideas, try things, fail, try again. Um, you know, uh, Set goals for yourself. Were you taught to set goals in school? I wasn't. Were you? Because I think that that's part of our problem. Students, schools are not preparing students for careers. It's just information that states feel are important for, every citizen or student to know, but you're not being prepared for a career based on the curriculum. And you can always go and look up your state or your county, whatever it is, curriculum, and see, what it is being taught. Sit and think about it. Is that information that is helping you to get into a career? Probably not. So we have these, what I call errors in our thinking. We're taught to think small. You're taught to memorize facts and spit it out on a test or a paper, right? You're taught to read something and then, replay it back to the teacher. We are not taught to think like creatively or go outside the box or to innovate or design. We're not educated to do that. We also have this thinking, oh, you fail, that's bad. You shouldn't ever fail. Don't take a class if you can't get an A in it, or something along those lines, which is really not, it also doesn't set you up for innovation or trying, because failing really is part of life. So to act like it's such a bad thing, I think is really a disservice. And then another reason we often don't get to try that many careers, or try things to see what we would be good at, because again, K to 12 schools are generally not setting students up for careers. Um, so where I feel like we get a little bit bogged down is with the idea of failure. So I just wanted to address that and remind people that failing is part of the learning process. We get that F, oh, we got an F on our paper, but what I would say is, again, I would go back to the why. How was the information taught? Was it not taught well? Was the student able to comprehend? Were they not able to comprehend? I'm more of a, when I teach, or when I went to teach, and I start looking at the way schools are set up, and I start thinking about how I'm like, what good is this? It was kind of driving me crazy when I went and taught middle school and high school, and I'm kind of like, um, where are the goals? When are you teaching students about, public speaking? When are you teaching them about project management? When are you teaching them about, how to try and try again? When are you teaching them about frameworks? When are you teaching them about confidence building? I didn't see any of that, and it kind of made me a little bit crazy because I feel like in my mind, I want to train students to be career ready. That is my goal, but I've learned that that's not what the curriculum or the school district's goals are. And, I'm more of a person, I think grading is ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. I think it should be more of like a pass fail. I feel like you either know enough of the content or you don't. Grades to me, it just doesn't really mean anything. But I really think that we need to change our view of failure and know that failure is really just what happens to us before we hit or achieve success. And, the other thing is failure means we didn't have enough information to make a more informed decision. Let's be real about it. That's really what we're saying. We didn't have all the tools. We didn't have all the information we needed to make to do something successfully. That's really what happens. And we need to put it in perspective so that we know how to try again. And a little bit more on failure. You know, we don't we shouldn't let failure stop us. Um we we you know and then when people say, oh, I tried and it didn't work, here's my response when somebody's like, oh, well, I tried to do it and it didn't work, and I'll say, well, how did you try? Did you try every angle? Did you do more research to see what else you could have done? Did you speak to an expert who has tried to do something similar and get advice from them? You know, did you, did you do your due diligence? Because what I find is a lot of people don't, and they just assume, oh, no, it's not going to work, and they give up and say, one little thing, it didn't go the way that they expected, and boop, it's gone. So, but I like to, really, again, I like to dig down and say, but really, why didn't it work? And then I say, well, did you try any other angles? And usually people will look at me like, no, because I don't want to. Well, you don't want to succeed. So there's another thought, do you really want to succeed, or you just want to try something, give up and go along? So then you might need to really explore what's going on there. When you want to have big ideas, what do you think of when you think about big ideas? Do you think about having a small party at your house? Why not a big party in the backyards? What stops you from thinking big? And maybe you thought about starting a small business, but why not a small business that grows into a larger business? What stops you from expanding? You want to, start thinking about, how big, how far can you go? And if something's stopping you, what's stopping you? And then it's all about confidence building too. We build our confidence by trying to do something, and then um, you know, getting feedback and trying again, And that's where we, build our confidence in more and more experience that we can build for ourselves. Remember, you are capable of anything you put your mind to, whether you believe that right now or not. It is 100% true. I know for sure. Take a task, put your mind to something that will make you happy. And that's what I would definitely encourage you to do. We want to destroy negative thoughts before they come into our minds. We don't want to keep thinking about past mistakes or problems. We want to live in the now. When you think about past mistakes or problems, that's what leads to depression, and we put errors in our minds. We need to think of the now. If we can become another way to become a bigger thinker is by reading more. A lot of us don't read enough. I know I don't. I have tons of books and I want to read them more, and I know I really should. And when I want ideas, just like I start listening to the book immediately, I'm like, oh, I should do a talk on that, or oh, I should research this idea more. I'm immediately am getting ideas, and so I would encourage you to look for books that would allow those sparks to go off in your mind. And then there's visualization. I gave a talk recently, and I'm going to share a slide on it, on how to build a vision board. And, I think what we don't always hear as being connected to the vision board are your goals, but really what's attached to your vision board are your goals. So your thinking starts with your imagination. And since you're going to be thinking anyway, you might as well just think big. Imagine and visualize a positive possibilities. Think about all the good things that can happen to you. And I actually, brings us over to the vision board. And you can find more tips on creating a vision board from my talk on May 16th. And I have a link to that. And it is also um, in the meetup group on the main page. I have the link to that, but I'll post it again. And I'm going to do another lesson. I'm going to try to improve what I did on May 16th. I had never done one on creating a vision board. So what I had to do, I had to try, and then I had to think. And now I have to do it again. I'm going to try to do it a little bit better on June 5th. It includes some more things. And again, the vision and goals go together. So if you want to attend this event, feel free. If you want to bring some goals and, create your vision board along with me, I'm sure that that would be helpful for you. And so that is what I have for us for tonight. Do we have any thoughts or questions? No? Okay, well, thank you guys for attending tonight. I hope you found this useful and interesting. I look forward to seeing you all again. And forgive me as I'm going to go and deal with my cat right now, who I think needs some attention because he's not feeling good. But I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Have a great night.
Thank you.